some dare call it conspiracy, with Brent Lee and Neil Sanders. This is Pizzagate, episode 5, with our guest, Joel Hill, from the Conditional Release Program podcast.
On November the 21st, the New York Times posted a debunk of the theory. But to counter this almost, before it's news.com posted an article saying that Pizzagate is in fact very, very real. On November the 23rd, InfoWars posts an investigation and a video titled Pizzagate is Real. But that entire November the 23rd episode has been scrubbed from the internet, so you just cannot find that. On November the 24th, they did an investigation called Down the Pizzagate Rabbit Hole. But again, you cannot find this on the internet, or at least I couldn't find it. And I found all the available episodes from that day, watched them all. None of them contain this, so it looks like they've scrubbed it. However, on November the 27th, they posted the Pizzagate is Real again and did their Pizzagate summary. Now, this is quite funny. On November the 27th, 2016, Alex Jones comes on and he's angry. He's not a happy bunny. He's not a happy bunny because he's been on Reddit, and Reddit have accused InfoWars of not adequately following the Pizzagate story. And Alex Jones is cross about that. He thinks that he reiterates, no, we have been covering it. It's just that I've had a lot on. So if anyone's suggesting that I'm a shill or that I'm out of the loop because I haven't covered Pizzagate, well, you're bang wrong, because I am Mr. Pizzagate, essentially. He might later change his tone, who knows? But he starts off by saying,
and the headline is Pizzagate is real. Only question is exactly what is it? But something with codes is going on. Now, the New York Times and the Washington Post and every other major publication in the last few days has done stories basically saying, oh, it's part of the Russian propaganda fake news, claiming that there's all these code words in the Podesta emails. Well, if you go back to the first days of November, it was all over the news. The weird satanic rituals and stuff like, we'll have the kids for your entertainment, ages 6, 7, and 8 in the hot tub waiting, and Obama wants $60,000+ worth of hot dogs, and they're getting delivered. And then you go to law enforcement sex code documents, they're using all the key codes. The codes for kids, the codes for men, the codes for women, the codes for black people, the codes for Latinos. I mean, it's all there, folks. Right out of FBI source manuals. And so we're one of the first groups to cover it. I just said, could this be code for drug dealing? Could this be code for something else? I don't know. It's so horrible that I just said, what is this? It's like photos of kids at parties with images of people bleeding to death, with women in satanic outfits drinking blood. And then, you know, Podesta says, I'll see you at the spirit cooking dinner. And it's the most dark form of black magic that Aleister Crowley was involved in. So we covered it. I'm just like, I don't see how you see anything else watching this.
He goes on to say,
when you look at the logos from law enforcement manuals on how pedophiles traffic kids, the codes they use, and you see the very images on businesses connected to Podesta, and then you read Washington Post articles where the Podestas are talking about how they love to photograph the naked kids in their neighborhood, and then as soon as we report it, the Washington Post pulls the article the next day from like 7 years ago. And then they just say, oh, it's fake news, don't listen to it. Listen, I don't know what this is.
Right.
And he goes on a little bit more and basically talks about what's happened, because just prior to this, Pizzagate has been banned from Reddit and 4chan. So any mention of this has been taken off 4chan. And he says, look.
So fearing yet another witch hunt, Reddit bans it. And so I went to see about Reddit was censoring and found Alex Jones was in there. Alex Jones won't cover this either. Well, no, I'll cover it responsibly.
Sorry.
There's thousands of these emails. Some of them may be innocuous. I'm sure some of the folks are innocent. Or did they give them code words to use for politics, knowing it was a setup? I'm not giving them a way out. I'm just saying, man, when you go on air and you point fingers at people and say they're trafficking kids, you better have your act together. Because, listen, we have due process in this country. I don't, man, I'm telling you, man, I like spent 5 hours yesterday looking at this, and I feel dirty right now. I mean, I feel spiritually raped.
And then Alex goes into a long non sequitur about Jimmy Savile raping kids and slitting their throats in front of the Prime Minister of England, which never actually happened as far as anybody knows.
No.
But fair enough.
Just, well, it's always going to say, I'm very careful, I'm very meticulous, I make sure I check all my sources, and now I'm going to say something totally fucked up, which is now legitimate because I've now distanced myself from something else that was questionable.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, he seems to be doing that. Yeah, like...
I've listened to much Knowledge Bite, I must say. It just kills me listening to this fucking moron.
It's nice listening to people that actually know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Like Dan and Jordan are that.
Yeah,
definitely.
It's excellent analysis. It really is good. It's long, but it's worth it.
It is good, isn't it? Anyway, Alex continues. He says, "I get it." No, and again, as you point out, he's got to do this responsibly.
But I get it. They're vampires that want to feed on the energy of kids. Is everybody in these thousands of emails guilty? No. That's why I try to read these thousands of emails, and it's so sick. Oh, I love the sauce on the hot dogs. Oh God, yes. Obama wants $60,000+ in hot dogs delivered right now. That's a lot of hot dogs. Oh, these are good hot dogs. I'm craving sucking on hot dogs. It's like, what the hell?
Classic Alex Jones.
Classic Alex Jones. It really is. And there is such like feigned restraint when it comes to that sort of stuff. It really is. It's theater. And the guy knows exactly what he's doing. He's a professional. This is why these own stereotypes are so embarrassing in his wake, because he runs by a script, but it's a perfectly crafted script. And these morons come in and try and be Alex Jones, and it's laughable. He's great.
He does. He has a certain charisma and a certain presence that is undeniable.
He's very good. Very good.
Totally. So Alex continues.
Hey, I don't know why the pizzeria and the one down the street have symbols in the FBI dossier. I don't know why there's devil worship art on the walls. I don't know why it's connected to Podesta. I don't know why they got rock singers there talking about, being, going after kids or whatever. This is what's going on, though. This is tied into Podesta with thousands of emails with, we're going to have the 6-year-old, the 7-year-old, and 8-year-old in the hot tub for your entertainment out at the ranch house. They can be a little persnickety, but they are also willing and enjoy it. I mean, there's thousands of these. You're reading it going, what the hell is this? And you start reading it, there's thousands and thousands and thousands, and you're reading something real bad.
He might have somewhat misrepresented the email there. So anyway, then he shows this video. It's a short video doing a summary of Pizzagate called Pizzagate is Real. And it starts.
This all began after WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange released hundreds of thousands of secret documents detailing a backstabbing Clinton Foundation, but it now appears the real truth Assange was leading us to was hidden between the blurred lines of Hillary Clinton's campaign manager John Podesta's released emails. Fast forward past John Podesta's brother Tony's casual email exchange with thelemic spirit cooking adherent Marina Abramovic. The Rosetta Stone was needed next, a verification that high-level Washington, D.C. predatory pedophiles were using a code to communicate child sex trafficking as casually as ordering a pizza. An FBI unclassified document from WikiLeaks revealed symbols and logos used by pedophiles to identify sexual preferences, to include those who sexually abuse children, as well as those who produce, distribute, and trade child pornography, are using various types of identification logos or symbols to recognize one another and distinguish their sexual preferences.
Now the evidence. I'm not sure how to answer that. Shut up.
I'm also not sure how to answer that. That is fantastic. Thank you, Big Jack.
Cheers. Now the evidence.
The menu from Comet Ping Pong. Notice the symbol of the ping pong paddles and its clever resemblance to the FBI document's symbol for child love. Now look at the symbol for Besta Pizza, just 2 doors down from Comet Ping Pong Pizza, boldly using the symbol for Boy Lover as was recorded on the unclassified FBI document. The evidence begins to reveal that Besta Pizza and Comet Ping Pong Pizza may be competing for the lucrative Washington, D.C. pedophile market right out in the open. Comet Ping Pong owner James Alefantis needs to explain himself, and so he did, via the Hillary Clinton colluding New York Times. But so many questions remain unanswered. Why was this said by the band Heavy Breathing performing in Comet Ping Pong?
He likes the world sounds. Tamales.
And little boys.
And children.
I think I was his manager.
No.
We all have preferences.
Why is the artwork adorning Comet Ping Pong's walls at the very least so insanely creepy, especially for a family restaurant? Why is Alefantis so close to Tony Podesta as revealed in the WikiLeaks emails? And why does Mr. Podesta collect questionable artwork specializing in grotesque eroticism and pedophilic images, not to mention Podesta's dabbling in what appears to be cannibalistic rituals while continuing his old friendship with convicted pedophile Dennis Hastert? Why is this man wearing an I Love Children shirt in this situation? Why did you write #murder next to this incredibly creepy photo you posted? Why do you find it amusing that this baby is for sale? Why do you associate with this artist? Why is any of this okay? And if these code words are eventually proven to be just another method of communication, then why did the Podesta emails mention the code word pasta for either little boy or sex 78 times? Code word cheese for little girl 85 times. And what does Podesta's friend Herb mean by this statement from a Podesta email? P.S. Do you think I'll do better playing dominoes on cheese than on pasta?
The video then shows the child with the hands taped to the ping pong table and also the #ChickenLover picture. And it says,
460,699 children went missing in 2015 that we know of. Mr. Alefantis, this isn't a witch hunt, and it isn't an attack from fake news that your boyfriend David Brock, founder of Media Matters, would have us all ignore. Either you are the unlucky victim of a fake news onslaught due to your own poorly initiated publicity, or a decades-old pedophile ring operating in the power-hoarding shadows of Washington, D.C. is about to be opened from your front door.
So it's one of the two. It's like, at least they're clarifying. And let me just clarify this, by poorly initiated publicity, they mean his Instagram page.
Yes, exactly.
Anyway, it cuts back to Alex, and Alex says,
If you're a radio listener, you're lucky you didn't actually see the video. The art they tweet and Facebook is of children being murdered, cut in pieces, and raped by men with giant genitalia.
What?
I mean, that sounds bad.
well, I mean, it would be if it were true. Huge if true, like, and not just the genitalia. But yes, so that is InfoWars getting particularly cross because essentially people have accused them of not proliferating Pizzagate, but they insist that they were actually one of the mainstays.
Is this the video that you wasn't able to find, but you were able to find it as a clip inside of one of InfoWars videos?
Yeah, basically, on the main day that they publicised this video, that was completely scrubbed. What I managed to find was 2 hours of the afternoon show. And on the afternoon show, they've clearly forgotten that they mention it because the evening show has been scrubbed and the following day has been scrubbed. But this particular one, they do the summary and they show the entire Pizzagate is real film.
Cool. Well, okay, just 1 second. How fucking long have you spent on this?
What, the research?
Yeah.
About a month-ish.
But like
Yeah,
a
about
real
a
month, not like a month like every now and then. This is insane. The fact that you managed to find a video on a video by researching through videos. Dude, I text search. I don't watch videos.
Yeah.
I'm just hat tipping. I'm impressed. Anyway.
We had a lot of help actually. So like we need to actually say this in the show.
Yes.
Matt the Irrefutable.
Irrefutable
on Twitter.
Matt.
Yeah. Thank you, mate, because he found loads of stuff that I just could not find basically.
Yeah, it's always good to give credit. Yeah.
They've really, really like gone out the way to try and pretend this never happened. And the reason for that is pretty clear. Like, so on December the 1st, InfoWars is still going on about Pizzagate, and it posts Pizzagate, the bigger picture, which is surprisingly difficult to get hold of. And also it's started getting picked up by Nazi papers like The Right Stuff and the Daily Stormer. At the end of November, they both did Pizzagate articles, essentially, sort of basically repeating what they saw on InfoWars. On December the 4th, Edgar Welch, who's a fan of InfoWars, took it upon himself to get an AR-15 and drive 350 miles to Comet Ping Pong to, in his own words, self-investigate Pizzagate. So he drove 350 miles. Now, initially, he intended just to have a closer look. Why he transported this AR-15 across the state line from North Carolina is anybody's guess. But I suppose it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. and court documents say that he told everybody as he entered the restaurant that he was there to rescue the children. Now, apparently there was a bit of confusion because people didn't know if he was an employee. There was lots of people. The restaurant was full. He essentially storms in, demands to see the basement and for them to free the children. At which point the owner, James Alefantis, I believe, turns around and explains to him that they don't actually have a basement and that he's free to look for this basement should he want.
With his gun?
Yeah, with his gun. So everyone evacuates from the building and he wanders around, quickly finds out that there's no hidden basement, there's no children there, and decides to start shooting off a few rounds in frustration. He actually ends up hitting a hard drive in the computer in the office by shooting through a wall. And some people have said that basically what this proves is that he'd gone in there as a false flag to destroy that hard drive.
Yeah,
exactly, as a sort of double bluff to prevent all the actual evidence coming out. Now, he got the idea because he's a big fan of Alex Jones. He explicitly says he's a big fan of Alex Jones. And as we know, Owen Schroyer and Alex had invited people to go there and investigate it for themselves. So he turned up with a gun. Now, he did concede, to be fair to him, Edgar Welch did concede that the intel wasn't 100%.
He did. It was bad intel.
So that's where it kind of went wrong. Now, he actually got 4 years for this. Now, this wasn't until the following year in 2017 that he got sentenced for 4 years. On the day that he got sentenced, Alex Jones did a massive apology and said that basically he was wrong. He still basically says that his team on it is that Pizzagate was fake, but it was there to hide the real sex trafficking and Epstein stuff that was going on in the emails. But we suspect that this might have been off the back of him actually, getting into trouble. The day afterwards, on December the 5th, Michael Flynn Jr., this is the day after Edgar Welch shot up the pizzeria, Michael Flynn Jr., who is the son of General Michael Flynn, tweets out, "Until Pizzagate is proven to be false, it remains a story the left seems to forget. Hashtag Podesta emails and the many coincidences." And the next day he's fired from his position in the Trump administration. But it's very interesting that the day after the shooting that he decides to actually still continue promoting this as a theory. But he's not the only one. I mean, even just because Alex Jones changed his mind on this, many people still think that Pizza Hut. Many people still think that Pizzagate. People think that Pizza Hut is evil, and they're right. People still continued with Pizzagate. Now, the two prominent people that pushed it were Ben Swan, who's an American journalist from CBS Channel 46, and a bloke called David Seaman, who worked for the Huffington Post but got fired for repeating a Paul Joseph Watson story that Hillary Clinton had a stroke. And they still, to this day, they still basically like push Pizzagate. And David Seaman claims that he's still never been disproved. Ben Swan, after being fired from his more mainstream job, has built up a sort of empire trying to sort of emulate InfoWars based on his understanding of this.
We're not talking about the England goalkeeper, right?
No, we're not talking about the England goalkeeper. We're talking about this guy who worked. He used to work for the Huffington Post, which is strange because that's usually kind of left wing, but he appears to be quite right wing, very pro Trump and that sort of thing.
Okay, it's just there seems to be something about UK footballers and sometimes goalies that get them into this kind of thing.
Yeah,
Matt Letizia.
Yes. Oh God, yes.
David Icke.
Yeah,
David Icke. Yes. No cricketers so far, though. The only sport that you guys play that's worth really mentioning. No real cricketers. I haven't noticed any Freddie Flintoff getting pilled. Hasn't quite happened yet, which I'm happy with. It's good.
Didn't he? Didn't Freddie Flintoff entertain Flat Earth for a time?
Tell me no.
There was somebody that did. Maybe it wasn't.
I am researching that right now. Hold on.
I tell you what, for the sake of defamation, because you have similar laws to us, we should check.
Maybe it wasn't him.
If Freddie Flintoff is a flat earther, I take that all back.
He might have done. I may have got that completely wrong.
It says here, Freddie Flintoff is desperate to go to space to prove the Earth is flat.
Fuck off. Amazing.
What the hell?
Slam dunk. Oh, that is embarrassing. I love the fact that was the first name that came to mind. I was just trying to think of an English cricketer. I'm like, I don't know. Who do I think of right now? I'm half cut. I'm not sure. You guys have great cricketers. Flintoff.
Well, there you go.
See, nobody is immune to these theories.
No, not even Frederick Flintoff III.
Off the back of Pizzagate, it sort of expanded to two areas. And if this seems a little vague, it's because it is. I mean, eventually it became QAnon, or it sort of laid the groundwork for QAnon because it's very, very sort of similar, citing paedophiles and paedophile rings and stuff like that. But two things came out of it: Pedogate and frazzled drip, or frazzled rip, depending on who you speak to.
Frazzled drip, come on, it's a great word.
It is a great word, to be quite honest. Now,
it's a great word.
This whole pedogate, it seems to be based around Tony Podesta and then people who donate money and encourage people to vote for the Democrats. That might be a coincidence, that might not be. But it all started with this picture of Tony Podesta at a meeting surrounded by loads and loads of people wearing red shoes. And for no good reason, as far as I can see, the internet decided that red shoes was indicative of being made out of the skin of dead children. So it's obvious actually when you say it out loud, isn't it? But so there's this picture of them wearing red shoes, and so suddenly anything connected to red shoes became very, very sort of suspicious. Now, Tom Hanks, at the same time, he, as a penchant for going around and taking photos of abandoned gloves or abandoned shoes, and he was also in a film called The Man with One Red Shoe. So again, it's totally painting a picture. Some people might be saying, oh, that's a bit thin. But also, if you notice that Wilson's face in Castaway, which is all red because it's made from the blood from his hand, actually, that's on the ball, that looks a little bit like a sort of skinned face, a screaming skinned face. And other people have noted that Jay-Z, who's somehow involved, and Ellen DeGeneres, both at separate times wore this particular jumper with a face on it that looks a kind of tiny bit like that Wilson's face. So it's all painting a bit of a picture.
Painting a picture.
A bloody picture, no doubt.
A bloody picture.
Then, two people came out of the woodwork and started accusing, or sort of, adding layers to this Tom Hanks accusation. One was a girl called Sarah Ruth Ashcraft, who basically accused Tom Hanks of buying her from her father when she was 13. And to support this, she shows a picture of a 13-year-old girl and says, that was me just prior to Tom Hanks buying me and using me as a sex slave for many, many years. Sounds crazy, but this was also kind of backed up by a gentleman called Isaac Cappy. Isaac Cappy is an actor that was working in Hollywood, that was friends with, initially, he was friends with Seth Green. And he started making noise accusing Tom Hanks of being friends with Jeffrey Epstein and going to Epstein's Island on numerous occasions to abuse children. He also basically says that Seth Green was a paedophile. He was friends with Seth Green, the comedian, Dr. Evil's son. And he'd basically been around to his house numerous times. Then on one occasion, they were around there and he showed him this secret door that led to his bedroom. And apparently his bedroom is hidden behind a secret door. And he turned round and he said to Isaac Cappy, "This is where we keep the children," in a really sort of creepy way. And so obviously Cappy goes like, well, this is really, really strange. A couple of days later, he goes back to his house. And he'd already at this point noted that Seth Green has got a huge amount of children's toys, like, toys, comic book type toys and stuff like that all around his apartment. And Seth Green said to Isaac, rather conspiratorially, "I need to talk to you about chicken." And he took this chicken, because he'd seen the Pizzagate things, to be a reference to the chicken lover. And he says, and then later that evening, he confessed to me that he's a paedophile. Isaac Cappy went on various sort of platforms telling people about this before, sadly, appearing to commit suicide by jumping off a bridge in Los Angeles. But he had what we call a dead man's switch. And this dead man's switch showed a video of what appeared to be like water maidens, like girls that would work in a sort of like a Grecian spa or something like that. These very young girls in this tiled room with what looks to be like almost like a sort of black Nazi sun design on it. And it's very, very short, but basically people were like, well, maybe he's telling the truth. Where's he got this footage from? What is this footage? Who knows? But that wasn't the worst of it. In 2018, a video suddenly appeared on the internet called Frazzle Drip or frazzled.rip, depending on who you speak to. And this video apparently shows Hillary Clinton and Hubert Aberdeen killing a little girl and then skinning her face and then wearing the face as a mask. Now, nobody's seen this video, right? Because it's child pornography, so you wouldn't want to share it. But people have shared 4 screenshots from it. One is a woman in a mask, like a sort of eyes wide shut mask that's apparently Hubert Aberdeen. There's a picture of what appears to be a mutilated child, a blonde child with its face all chopped up. There's also a picture of a hotel room with a bed that's blacked out, and the inference is that there's a dead child on that bed. And then there's a picture of 3 people in masks kneeling in what looks to be some sort of crazy, weird ritual. And that is Frazzle Drip, which to this day is still floating around. But there's one more thing that seems slightly strange off the back of Pizzagate. Now, Mouthy Buddha has done a series of videos, and basically he thinks that he's found some sort of code that is used by paedophiles as a way to hack sort of search engines to show results that wouldn't be there normally. And he got this from various places. The first thing he mentions, there's a chap called Michael Whalen. And Michael Whalen extended the Pizzagate argument and said it was not just these pizza shops. There's a place in Portland, Oregon called Voodoo Donuts, and children are murdered there. And there's if you look at the logo, it's a sort of voodoo doll with the spiral or a very similar spiral on its stomach. Yeah, so it looks a bit like the boy lover thing. Interestingly, my friend Stu got married at Voodoo Donuts.
Oh,
So he noticed that there's a picture of Anthony Bourdain at Voodoo Donuts, and this will all become important.
don't tie Anthony into this.
Well, apparently, James Alefantis is friends with someone on this company called Gordy's Pickles Jars, which is a Washington, D.C. pickle company. And on this Gordy's Pickle Jars Instagram, there's a picture of Obama and Anthony Bourdain eating in a Vietnamese restaurant in 2016. And behind them is a sign that says Kong Hut Thruc, which is Vietnamese for no smoking. So what Mouthy Buddha has done is he's taken this and he's Googled it. He's Googled Kong Hut Thuk. And if you Google this, you get a song of the same name by the Rain Kids, which is this group of toddlers. It's a pop group full of little girls from Vietnam. And the channel's basically got a lot of different pop-ups, and it's lots of videos quite similar to this. And the logo that is consistent through all these videos, it says BH Kids. So he's like, okay, so he's Googled BH Kids. And what happens is if you Google BH Kids and you go to the images, you get pictures of young girls, preteen girls in underwear. So what he thinks is that this is a way of that pedophiles would be talking to one another. There's this code. If you put in BH Kids, you get this hidden content. And he says basically there's this website called liska.com, and you see pictures of swimwear, but no actual models. But if you type BH Kids into Google, it comes up with a Liska listing that shows a child wearing a bikini. And so he says that, well, this is obviously a code to access child porn.
Oh, so that's the link.
Well,
Jesus, that is desperate.
Well, he basically then he backs this up by basically showing Isaac Cappy again, saying that Isaac Cappy pointed out, he says, look, if I'm lying about Tom Hanks can sue me, but he won't, because then when it comes to Discovery, we're going to see that. And at this point, he shows that Dead Man Switch video of all the little water maidens floating around. Then basically he notices that in one of these Tom Hanks photos, there's a sign next to it that says SCRUSA. And so what he did was he went through various different search engines, and he found that if you go to a Russian search engine called Yandex and you type in SRCUSA, you get lots of pictures of girls in underwear. And so he says that these are two codes. So BH and SCR are codes that pedophiles will use in order to access secret, hidden child pornography on the internet. And he can't think of any other explanation. Is there another explanation? We shall see.
Well, I'm finding it very difficult because maybe there's fucking not. I mean, I did come into this 100% thinking that Pizzagate was bullshit. Now I'm at 85.
Mm-hmm.
I'm strongly still thinking it's bullshit, but I'm like, you are pushing me towards being pilled.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Like, it's like all of these things. There's an awful lot. One could make the argument that it's a gish gallop, or the phrase I use is a monet, right? Okay, it looks like there's something coherent going on. The closer you get, there are actually a lot of not connected dots, essentially. But there's a lot going off there, as you say. And, you know, the expression, there's no smoke without fire, doesn't exist for no reason. You can totally see why people would believe this. And as Brent very astutely pointed out, if you believe the things that Cathy O'Brien and various other people have said about people like Hillary Clinton, if you believe the sort of more salacious rumours about Bohemian Grove, even if you were to look at some of the actual admitted stuff, things like MK Ultra and the use of children for sex practices and that, obviously the connection to Jeffrey Epstein, these things aren't as potentially ludicrous as they might initially seem.
No, there's truth in a lot of this stuff.
And you can see why then, like, truthers themselves say that this conspiracy theory has been whitewashed and not represented properly in the mainstream.
Totally.
Because there is a lot more to it.
Yeah.
But I went looking, like I said, this week, I thought, okay, I'm going to have a look at like some really peeled takes on this. Really peeled. And I went through a whole bunch of them. and it was rambling nonsense. Yes, there were some things that have come up in these episodes, and there's been some correlations and things like that. But honestly, it was just drivel. I am so glad that you're not actually peeled, because this being delivered well is really compelling. Now, we're holding back on the idea of tearing this thing to shreds because there's all sorts of correlation, falsities, and false equivalents and things like that we can go for. But on face value, what you're presenting is fucking compelling. Really fucking compelling.
Absolutely, yeah. And particularly if you're coming to it, because, we've presented it in such a way that shows the actual sort of timeline of how it all sort of presented.
Yeah.
But if you came into that at the end of it, just watched that InfoWars Pizzagate is Real video, then happened to stumble across what Jack Verseebik had said or whatever, tied it in with the Wiener laptop, which was a genuine thing that was reported in the mainstream media, but then had this concept that, again, not dissimilar to Epstein, there was a concept that there's more known about this by the intelligence agencies or the law enforcement agencies than they're letting on, because they felt that there was high-profile names that needed protecting or that couldn't be revealed yet or anything like that. So you can totally understand why people sort of saw this.
And that is a wrap for now. Join us next week as we continue down the Pizzagate rabbit hole. You can gain access to this entire series on day one of release by joining our Patreon for only $5 a month. Included in this package are 4 of Neil's books, my entire discography, early access to episodes, Patreon-only episodes, and a PDF of Headache Comics 4, courtesy of Nicholas C. Gray. You can also support us by subscribing, sharing, liking, or leaving a review wherever you are listening to us. And please follow us on Twitter @SomeDarePodcast. Thank you for listening.